Hello, my name is Andrew Moyer. This tutorial continues where the last tutorial left off. I'll show you how I made a Sci-Fi computer console and wall tech for a 2-point perspective vector illustration, which I made in Inkscape 1.3 and 1.3.1, the latest update. I created everything with circles, rectangles, and strokes. I list the various techniques and tools I used in this workflow below. I eyeballed the size of this area to match the computer console area. I'm going to fill it with computer user interface graphics. I reuse a lot of elements which I duplicate, flip, mirror, resize, rotate, and recolor to create new elements. Keeping some of the same designs and colors helps maintain uniformity throughout the project. Here I use the Align and Distribute menus. I'm still trying to get familiar with all the functions, but I wind up using these a lot. I cut the circles out of the rectangles with path difference. I select the circle, hold Shift, select the rectangle, then select path difference. I'm trying to snap these two objects together and they won't snap. I turn on snapping for everything and it still doesn't work. Sometimes Inkscape decides, you're not the boss of me. I have to figure out a workaround, which I do with the Align tools. We have align right edges of objects to the left edge of anchor. Here are the object right edge and the anchor left edge. Helps if I hold Shift to select both. And voila! I align the top edges, then path union them both together. I didn't have any real plan other than filling this space with a variety of sci-fi computer stuff. Next time I'll do myself a favor and use a limited palette with varieties of containing shapes instead of putting everything inside rectangles. I'm just stream of consciousness creating this abstract expressionist thing. It feels kind of therapeutic, just creating at will. You could go further and place highlights, shadows, blurs, or transparencies. Gradients and the perspective tools do not play well together though, which I explain after this speed art. These vents or speakers, the thing I'm working on here, consist of dark gray shapes and long, thin shapes I'll call louvers. I'll mask the louvers inside the dark gray shapes, then position that over duplicates of the gray shapes. To duplicate the louvers, I hit Ctrl D and tap down with the down arrow. To select only the louvers, use the Select tool, hold Alt, and draw the red line over the objects you want to select. I hit Ctrl-G to group the louvers together, then stack the louvers behind the dark shapes. I select the dark shapes, Ctrl-D to duplicate, then move the duplicates out of the way. I path union the original shapes together, and with those selected, I Shift-select the louvers, right-click, and select Set Mask. I select the duplicated dark shapes and stack them under the masked louvers. I found out the hard way that, like gradients, clips and masks do not play well with the perspective tools, which I'll explain after the speed draw. I use Filter Color Invert to change this element's colors. I check Live Preview to see the changes as I go. I use Flip and Mirror on my element. Changing colors through the filter means the filter shows the inverted color, but the color wheel and sliders show the original color. That pencil eraser pink is mint green. I look around to turn it off and ended up just re-inverting the colors. I'm still kind of an Inkscape newbie and didn't know I could go to the Remove Filter at the bottom of the Filters dropdown, like I show in the video insert. There, I duplicate the original, invert the colors, and click to show blue displays as orange in the color wheel. I hit Remove Filter and it reverts to the original colors. You can change a closed stroke to a path, then manipulate the interior shape. I found out after the initial recording that you can select a node with the node tool, hover over the node, then roll the scroll wheel forward to select nodes like in the video insert. If you select a node and roll the scroll wheel without hovering, then you'll zoom in. Like with this little dinky circle, if I can click one node, I can roll select the rest without zooming in. I want this path to look like the stroke on the other side, but it has a fill. I select the first path and Ctrl-C to copy. I select the path with the fill, then use Ctrl-Shift-V, which pastes the attributes from the copied object. This comes in handy when you need to change the attributes of numerous paths or shapes at one time. The idea for these two circles connected by the funky shape comes from Jack Kirby, the comic book legend. I highly suggest you check out his work. To change colors on the fly, you can select a shape, hit D for the eyedropper tool, then click around to change the first shape's colors. As I worked on this bit, the colors and symmetry reminded me of a math teaching device I had as a boy called the Little Professor. It gave you an equation and you typed in the answer. Funny how something random can bring back an old memory. You can use Path Union on paths with no fill. Here, I'll select 3 different paths and union them all together. You can see I totally redid my Little Professor, making it more random and asymmetrical. I appreciate that with Vector, no matter how far you zoom in, no matter how much detail, everything remains sharp and clean. I had issues with perspective envelope and modify path perspective. Clips and masks don't work. Gradients need adjusted. I'll use clip first to clip the louvers into the dark gray shapes. I stick with extensions modify path perspective here since perspective envelope sometimes crashes my Inkscape, plus you get these same results with both. I'll note that if you create a long, thin shape and expect it to look long and thin in your illustration, sticking it in a squat shape like this won't help. I tried different things to figure out how to fix the clip, but nothing helps as far as I can tell. I'll undo all that and try Set Mask next. Same issue with mask. I used path difference to cut the louvers to fit into the gray shapes, and the perspective works fine. With gradients, the shape works fine, but the gradient path stays at the original shape location. You can still grab the gradient path and place it over the shape, but you may as well draw your shape flat, add the perspective, then add the gradient, especially if you have numerous gradients. I add a bark filter and drop shadow to the next gradient just to see what happens. The filters work great, even though they render partly outside the shape. The gradient path still remains at the original area. Here's the finished demo art and the original art from the Raven vs. Psimon illustration. I'll use the perspective tools to place the art into the console space. First, I'll do Path Effect Perspective Envelope. I have a console-shaped element I'll use as a filter to emulate the monitor lights shining on the console. I also have a colored filter and a vignette filter over the illustration to give it a more cinematic look. I zoom in to make sure the nodes go where they are supposed to. Everything looks good, but I'm not sure those ellipses look correct. I think a line through the thinnest part should point to the bottom left 45-degree angle vanishing point covered in the last tutorial, which these don't. So maybe I need to do some more research. Here I play with my filter blend modes. Next up is Extensions, Modify Path, Perspective. I make sure I draw the box from the bottom left corner going clockwise, which I cover in detail in the last tutorial. I flip and mirror the art and project it into the shape. Everything looks good. Here I go with the filter blending again. I think hue gives me the best effect. I hide the filter, double-click into the group to remove the white background, which I didn't bother with the last one, and unhide the filter. Here I show how I made the wall tech, mostly just strokes turned into paths, double-clicking on a path with the node tool to create a node, then reshaping the paths. I hold Ctrl to constrain to the horizontal or vertical. I duplicate this circle by selecting it, then dragging and pressing the space bar to stamp duplicates. I use the left vanishing point guides to create the shape, so I project the wall tech into the proper perspective. I select the tech, right-click to select cut, double-click to enter the group and select the wall, then Ctrl-Alt-V to paste in place on top of the wall. I want to trim all the excess, so I draw a path, paste in place on top of the tech, and path difference. I can dig in and delete all the extraneous stuff behind those wall structures if I want. Here, I'll lighten the fill color of the wall tech to blend more into the wall. Thank you for watching my second tutorial. Please like and subscribe and keep an eye out for future videos.